So this is my presentation for my final project of abuse and mandatory reporting by law. There's 4 types of main abuse that happens and goes on in the world. Physical abuse, sexual abuse, mental, and emotional. Mental and emotional, they kind of fall under the same area of abuse, but totally different. Physical, most common in the United States, and then sexual abuse is the second most common. Physical abuse, like I said, it's most occurring in the United States. People always ask, how will I know if I'm being physically abused? There are different ways you can tell, and signs that you're being physically abused by a loved one or another person. Being hit, slapped, punched, kicked are the most common forms of physical abuse, but it also includes these very strange but also very typical ways to be abused: burning, being strangled, choked, damaging personal property, which is a big one. Like, for example, if you have very expensive items in your house and they're damaged by somebody that you know, a loved one, that is considered physical abuse. And refusing medical care or controlling one's medical status. Like if you go to the doctor for something like cold and the doctor sees some signs that, like bruising, burn marks, cuts, and they ask if you want help, and then your partner says no, that is one of the signs of refusing medical care, controlling one's medical status, and forcing loved ones into drugs and other substances, and the use of any weapons. So if they are forcing you to take drugs, to be under the influence while you are with them, that is a big part. These signs and actions can lead to serious injury and possibly death. The death rate for physical abuse is very high in the United States, which is very sad, and there should be something done about it. There should be more people that should reach out for help about physical abuse. Sexual abuse is a very, very tough and sore subject about it. Sexual abuse is always the type of abuse to be looked over and very quiet about. Like I said earlier, people don't really look at it as much anymore, because people think they're too ashamed to talk about it, because it is very embarrassing to them, because they experience that. They don't want to say anything, so people don't look at them differently. Sexual abuse is not all about sex. It's about the abuser being power hungry, just about wanting to control everything, what you do with your life, what you guys do together, sexual or not. Performing any sexual behavior without consent is considered sexual abuse. So if you're under the influence and somebody is trying to have sexual contact with you, that is considered sexual abuse or rape if they do have sex with you while you're under the influence and you are not coherent at all. Some examples are forcing a partner to have sex trafficking, being afraid to say no but pursuing to do sexual activities, hurting your partner during sex. When you say no, it means no. And pursuing to do sexual activities, like if you feel bad for saying no and they get mad at you and you do it anyway, that's still considered sexual abuse. Mental and emotional, like I said earlier, they kind of fall under the same category, same topic, but they're totally different. Mental abuse kind of falls under you thinking that you're a bad person, that you do everything wrong. Emotional is when they make you cry, angry, when they make you mentally unstable. The main reason why we can't really recognize the abuse is because it's happening inside your mind, closed doors, no one can see any cuts or bruises, but the cuts and bruises are inside, and you just don't know how to get help because you're undergoing that constant stress and emotional and mental abuse that you can't really get out of it. You can't really find help because you'll be also very ashamed and very nervous that they're going to find out. And then it always escalates to physical abuse. Some people don't have the courage or strength to actually get help before it gets worse. In most cases, mental abuse, like I said earlier, does turn into physical abuse. Like I said, if you go get help and they find out, more than likely they will come back and then it will get worse. It will proceed on. So it is very important to focus more on emotional and mental abuse for that type of reason. The signs of mental abuse: being judgmental, putting you down in front of others, embarrassing you, gaslighting. Gaslighting nowadays, it's a popular term on social media and everything. Judgmental, just judging your loved one about everything he or she does, putting you down in front of others, like making fun of you, telling secrets in front of any other person that doesn't really know you guys' issues, and embarrassing, just saying really embarrassing things about maybe your body, what you do, about like crying, about how upset you get. It's very, very important to really recognize those signs and symptoms because it could turn into something worse. How can I report it? Thankfully, nowadays, there are many ways to report any types of abuse now. Workplaces, schools, colleges, everything. They have counselors, social workers, psychologists, everything. And they are there to help, but I know, like I said earlier, some people really don't want to get the help because some say it's embarrassing or it lowers their ego, I've heard of, which is ridiculous. There are hotlines, couples counseling and therapy available for everyone. Like I said again, it is out there and they are here to help. It is all confidential. No one needs to know except for you and your therapist or the counseling. The domestic and sexual abuse hotlines are there for you. They also do texting now because some people really don't want to talk about it out loud. They rather just say it in their head and type it on their phone. In Poughkeepsie, there is a facility called the Grace Smith House. For high school, I actually did a donation drive for them, off women feminine products, toiletries and all stuff like that. It's a home for battered individuals. It's not just for women, it's for men as well. It's a non-profit facility that provides housing for residential and non-residential victims and families. This house is very secret, it's not very known a lot. They like to keep it very secret, not secret, but they like to keep it on down low. And once they are brought to this house, they are moved and they take all their stuff and they are put in there for a set amount of time, as much as they need. It is no charge. They are there just for help to get away from the abusers. Statistics in New York. I'm very surprised about this number. I thought it would be a little bit lower. Women, 32.3 experience abuse of any kind in New York. Men is a little bit higher. Experience of any abuse, it's 33.5. The typical people would always say, like, oh yeah, women get abused more. No, that's not right. Men experience more abuse, which is very shocking. In 2016, 17% of women ages 18 over experienced some sort of abuse from a partner or family member, which is absolutely upsetting. Okay, so why is it hard to get help? Like I said earlier, some people feel like their ego or what people think of them, because some people do have mental health issues that are more susceptible to not finding help and when is needed, and then people would find out, and then people would say stuff about you, but that is not the case. You're trying to get help. You're trying to find what's best for you. The individual that is being abused might feel trapped and hopeless. When you're in that sort of situation, you think that that one person is controlling your whole life, and that's why you need to stay, or it will get worse. The real reason is it will get worse if you stay. So that's why men and women need to find help and get out of that abusive relationship. Being shown how much power and how much control the abuser has over the victim can be very scary and intimidating. With abusers, they are just power hungry. They just need to have control over everything, which is very scary and very intimidating, which I've had experiences with that, but I'm not going to get into that right now. Being shown how much power, like I said earlier, once you try to go find help, 9 times out of 10, your partner will not know because it is between you and that counselor, therapist, but if you make it known, then it will get worse. So there is help, there is patient confidentiality, and there is help for you. Okay, so that is it. Thank you.